Hey guys, time to read the phases of the moon here in our reading essential and then get it all marked up, and then we are going to look at our notebook, okay? So the phases of the moon. The sun is always shining on half the moon, just as it is always shining on half the earth. As the moon moves around earth, usually only one part of the moon's near side is lit. So here's a vocab word. The portion of the moon or planet reflecting light as seen from Earth is called a phase. The motion of the moon around Earth causes the phase of the moon to change. Okay, so it's because the moon goes around the earth that we see different parts of it. The phase follows a regular pattern that is called a lunar cycle, which takes about 29.5 days or slightly more than 4 weeks to complete. All right, so when we did the Nearpod and then when we did those task cards, we know that there are two different phases. We have our waxing phase and we have our waning phase. Okay, so let's take a look at our waxing phase first. Okay, the waxing phase occurs during the first half of the lunar cycle. During the waxing phase, more of the moon's near side is lit each night. So between waxing all the way up to the full moon, the new moon to the full moon is about 2 weeks. So the first week, we start to have that slight sliver. Okay, and so that is going to be in with our crescent, right? And then it will go, at the end of that first week, it will be at the first quarter. Okay. Now we see it split half and half like that, right? Okay, with this part lit, okay? And this part dark. Okay, so then we go, after we reach that first quarter, then we get into the second week. Then we are going to have more and more of that right side is going to be lit. And so we are going to be in the gibbous. By the end of the second week, the moon's near side is completely lit, and then it is a full moon. Okay, that's not a pretty color, is it? Okay. All right, full moon. All right, so just to remind ourselves about the waxing, that is going to be light on the right, and that it is the light is being turned on. So wax on, right? And then it is growing. Those are the things that we're going to keep track of when we think of waxing and waning, okay? So then after our full moon, now we're going to be needing to be turning that light off, okay? So after the moon waxes, it is said to wane. So let's get our vocab, our yellow up there. During the waning phase, less of the moon's near side is lit each night. As seen from Earth, the lit part is now on the moon's eastern side. So for us, that is light. Oops, sorry about that. Light on the left, right? So it's going to be turned off, and it's going to be shrinking. Those are the terms that we're going to keep track of here, okay? So during that week 3, it's going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. So up here, it'll go straight to a gibbous, and then to a third quarter. And then it will get to a crescent. And then it will be at the new moon phase again, okay? So go back and listen to that Mr. Lee rap from our last in-person day about the phases of the moon, okay? The one that you can get stuck in your head. Alrighty, so here's a nice little picture here as well. We see our sunlight is right here, okay? So when we have a new moon, right here, new moon, the half of the moon that is being lit is faced away from us. So when we look up at that moon, we see nothing. So then we go to as it continues on its orbit around us, then we see a little bit. This is going to be our crescent. That's our first quarter. This is our gibbous. You see how it is more than half. Then our full moon. So when we see the moon, we're looking this direction, and we see the light from the sun is filling up that whole side. And then we're going to be turning it off. And so we now look at the light here is on the left, whereas on this side here, it was on the right. And then less and less and less until we get to a third quarter, and then less and less and less until we get to a crescent. And then we come back to our new moon. Okay, so it's going to be important that you get these straight in your head, because on the test it might say something like, name this moon phase. Okay, and so it would be full moon. What moon phase happens right prior to or before? Well, that would be a waxing gibbous. So, or what is the what phase is shown here? That would be a first quarter. What phase happens next? That would be a waxing gibbous. Okay, so make sure that you learn these phases in order, because it is a repeatable pattern. Okay, all right, so then here are your vocab words. All right, okay, so then when it comes to our notebook, I have things filled in for us already. So the phases of the moon, the definition is a lit part of the moon that can be seen from Earth. That's our definition. And it's caused by the motion of the moon around Earth. And it's going to take 29.5 days. Now, it's a little bit longer than the 27.3 days that it takes to go through to orbit around us. Okay, so it's a little bit longer. All right, so the sun is always shining on one half of the moon. All right, so if we look at this chart here, and of course, guys, I need you to stop this video and be filling things in. So our terms, we've got waxing and waning. So waxing, light on the right, the light is growing. Waning, light on the left, shrinking. The light is shrinking. So wax on, wane off. So in that first week, it takes about 4 weeks. We go from crescent to then our quarter, and then quarter to exactly half. So in here would be our gibbous as well. Okay, so then after we have our full moon, then we go gibbous then to, which is more than half, and then we would go to full when we see all of it, and new we see none of it. So in this section here, I really didn't follow the weeks as far as things, but more that let's take that off, because now I remember what I did here. Okay, so I really in this section here just talked about like what the shapes of the moon, what the shape of the moon is and what it's called. So a crescent is less than half, a quarter is exactly half, a gibbous is more than half, a full you see all of it, a new you see none of it. Okay, so in this space here, if you would like to try to draw this, new moon, waxing crescent, light on the right, less than half. First quarter, light is on the right, exactly half and half. A waxing gibbous, more than half, until we get to our full moon. And then we go from full moon to waning gibbous, because we can't go straight from a full moon to a crescent. We've got to lose all of that light. So on either side of your full moon is always going to be your gibbous. On either side of your new moon is always going to be your crescent. So then waning gibbous, because we're turning it a little bit more off. Then third quarter, half and half. And then waning crescent is going to be light on the left, but just a sliver of it until it gets to the new moon. Okay, remember, light on the right for waxing, light on the left for waning. Okay, so Reach out if you need anything. Work on your vocabulary, work on the back page of your study guide. You can get those moon phases filled in, but I bet we're going to look at that in class as well. So take care today, guys. Get your vocabulary done and reach out if you need.